Good morning, Year 4. This video is for task 6, which is in your booklet. So what I want you to do first of all, as I'm reading the text, I want you to visualise it. So like we do in class, as I am reading, and I want you to read along with me, I will read it twice today. And on the second time, I want you to visualise it and draw any images which will help you to remember and summarise the text. So let's read it together first of all. Philip stood in the shadow of the dark arch and looked out. In front of himself, he could see a great square surrounded by tall buildings. In the middle of the square was a fountain. The water looked silver in the moonlight, and it rose and fell with a gentle splashing sound. A tall tree close to the archway cast the shadow of its trunk across the path. Philip listened, but there was nothing to listen to except the soft sound of the fountain. Philip's eyes got used to the dark, and he could now see that he was under a heavy domed roof. There were large square pillars around him, and some dark doors behind him. The doors were firmly locked. Philip did not feel frightened, but he did not feel brave either. Okay, so I'm going to read it again to you, but this time I would like you to visualise it like we do in class. Any pictures that you might draw, any keywords, anything to help you remember and summarise the main parts, the key parts of the text. Philip stood in the shadow of the dark arch and looked out. In front of himself, he could see a great square surrounded by tall buildings. In the middle of the square was a fountain. The water looked silver in the moonlight, and it rose and fell with a gentle splashing sound. A tall tree close to the archway cast the shadow of its trunk across the path. Philip listened, but there was nothing to listen to except the soft sound of the fountain. Philip's eyes got used to the dark, and he could now see that he was under a heavy domed roof. There were large square pillars around him and some dark doors behind him. The doors were firmly locked. Philip did not feel frightened, but he did not feel brave either. Okay. So if you need a little bit more time to continue visualising it, you can pause for a moment. If you are ready to go on to the next part, you can continue. So we are going to complete our I wonder. So you're used to doing this every day in class. So it's anything that you are wondering about, anything you are unsure about. So I'm going to have a look and I am going to write an example. So I am going to say, I wonder, let me have a little think now. I wonder why Philip was at this setting. I wonder why Philip, or if Philip, I wonder if Philip was alone. Okay, so just pause the video for a couple of minutes and complete 2 or 3 I wonders to get you thinking about the next part. Okay, so we're going to move on to having a look at the questions. Now, before we do, as always, you should have underlined any words or phrases which you are unfamiliar with. Any words that you think, I'm not sure what that means, and see if you can work it out first of all. Okay, the strategies that we've used in class, can you replace it with another word? Does it have the same meaning? And if not, use a dictionary. So, I just want us to have a little look at this word here. Great. Now I want you to think about the context that it's being used in. So for example, if we look at the whole sentence, it says, in front of himself, he could see a great square surrounded by tall buildings. Now, the word great has been used here in a different context. So do you think it means great as in fantastic? Or do you think it's being used in a different way? Just pause the video and just think for a little moment. So let me read it again. In front of himself, he could see a great square surrounded by tall buildings. Just pause and have a think. Okay, you should have worked out that it didn't mean a great square as in fantastic or brilliant. It meant great as in large. So a large square surrounded by tall buildings. Okay, so it's important to really look at why the author has chosen to use certain words and vocabulary. Right, let's have a little look at the questions now. So you have got 6 questions that you are going to work through on your own. Have a little look. Remember to refer back to the text. So let's have a look at number 5 together. What time of day is it? How do you know? So I'm going to go back to the text. I'm going to have a look. I'm going to underline any keywords or phrases that give me the impression of the time of day. So here I've already spotted, and remember year 4, I am scanning. I am not going back to the beginning of the text and reading it all again. I am looking for keywords that are going to tell me about the time of day and scan using all of those skills and scanning games we've used before. So here it says, his eyes got used to the dark. Okay, but that doesn't mean that it is late or it is later on in the day, because he might just be covered, because here it says he was under a domed roof. So I'm going to see if I can find any more information. Here, the water looked silver in the moonlight. So I can now infer, I can work out that it's probably nighttime or later on in the day because the moonlight is visible. Here I've looked for more than one clue to tell me in the text. I know it's dark, but it could be that he was in a dark room, or it could be somewhere where there was no light, no windows, so I've had to dig a little deeper to find the correct answer. Okay, year 4, what I would like you to do now is continue answering those questions on your own and really think about using the text to make sure you are identifying those clues.